All right, so Amy, take it away.
Okay,
Thank you so much.
I will take it away. I'm going to use notes today. It has been a long week, but I am excited to be here, and I really appreciate you guys all just saying, no, I'm coming. I'm going to take the challenge and the risk. So thank you. Thank you. Well, it is a pleasure being here. I love Idaho. I am committed to continuing to bring innovation to Idaho. And when my husband and I had the opportunity to move back to Boise and raise our family, we didn't hesitate. I started Silverdraft Supercomputing here, and Silverdraft is an Idaho-based technology company, and we are proud to have our roots here in Idaho. Our headquarters are here in Boise, and we have a demo lab in LA on the lot of Jim Henson Studios, and then we also have presence in Detroit. So we are a speedboat, literally, that shifts with the bleeding edge of technology. Now, as a virtualization solutions technology company, we design pipeline and compute based on the workflow and applications of artists in visualization, focusing on VR, AR, and AI. We do this by building high-end performance computers and software so that our clients can easily visualize their data, saving them time and money. My goal in starting this company was to free artists with technology, not hinder artists with technology. As the technology is evolving, we have become the consultants of R&D to many of our high-end, large enterprise clients, keeping them ahead of the curve of the technology rather than band-aiding the tech for them to try and play catch-up. Our clients come from a variety of verticals, all with the same need. How can I visualize data? How can I use virtualization to design a product, manufacture a product, learn and train? Companies such as Nissan, Toyota, ESPN, GE, Universal, Disney are honestly just a few of the large enterprise innovators we support. This one I'll give a kind of shout out to. This is Riot. They are owned by Verizon. They're doing significant things on the edge compute and the ability to put AR into the hands of everyone. They were originally a full HP house and now have completely shifted over to Silverdraft. By looking at market size, pain points, and applications, we must decide what is worth solving. We vet and analyze, because we can make the coolest tech, but if it doesn't solve our client's need, it's completely worthless. The need drives the innovation. That's critical. In starting Silverdraft, well, I was really naive about what I was getting into. Young female CEO, new to tech, new to business. I had walls on every corner. I had an idea, a vision, and frankly, just intuition about what needed to be done, but it needed to be done. So I just dove in. Sometimes that is the hardest part. Just starting. Not the walls, not the inappropriate comments, but starting. I had to find ways around the fact that not only was I not a man, but I also was not an engineer. How could I possibly build a technology company that could bring visual dimension to information, data, and product creation? I was a film producer. I had the pain point. I needed to solve that pain point. I understood the workflow and I spoke the language of the artist. What I needed for Silverdraft was to surround myself with brilliance, innovators, risk takers, leaders, and collaborators. Together, we needed to design systems and solutions to enable others to create. It is true. I alone am not enough to build this company, nor would I ever want to be. Silverdraft is a team, and our clients and partners are our army. The impossible is possible when together we all take the risk of innovation, lifting each other up and driving the technology. The human element needs to come into play. Tech can enable us to be more than we are capable of being, but still us. Not less than, more than. I love it. I am having a blast, regardless of how hard it is. I push our team to build an environment where our goal is innovation. We must risk, listen, and push past the possible to the impossible. No Hail Marys, no safe line. Go big or go home. New tech is an extreme sport. At Silverdraft, I expect our team to listen and trust that we can solve the opportunity, collaborate with our partners, and continue to grow and improve the technology. We must be willing to fail because failure is what's going to inform us on how we do it right. We have positioned ourselves very well. As thought leaders, we are driving the technology and advising our large enterprise clients on the use case and integration of the necessary VR, AR workflows that will help them stay relevant. Silverdraft must scale as a company. We need to meet the demand to support our client in the white glove way they have grown to expect. Clients have realized that they now need more than just to order a computer off the internet. We have learned building the best optimized computers to solve visualization has actually made us experts in the end-to-end workflow. That is Silverdraft's critical advantage. Yes, we build amazing computers. Yes, we write code. Yes, we give incredible service and consulting, but it is how we put it all together, enabling our clients in their technology backbone, that gives us the golden key. What if we could see the future before it exists? Virtual reality. What if you could see real light and shadows on imaginary objects? Ray tracing. What if you could see something that was not there in real time? Augmented reality. What if you can interact with imaginary people? Artificial intelligence. What if machines can analyze massive amounts of data, learn, and act? Machine learning. Our amazing team delivers these incredible solutions, and I am blessed by the experience and talent we've been able to attract to our team. Each is a leader and an innovator. 4 years ago, Autodesk introduced me to Elizabeth Barron, the global lead for immersive realities at Ford Motor Company. She presented us with an incredible risk, or as I see risks, challenge, which would be our first automotive deliverable. We had 2 weeks to solve what some today still believe is not possible. We not only met her need, but we rose above the challenge. And I am honored that after 30 years at Ford, Elizabeth Barron has left and joined the Silverdraft team and is leading our enterprise solutions. Here are some examples of real-time ray tracing done at Ford in Mustang and virtual reality. So this is a beautiful rendering. This is actually what you would see in the virtual environment. All of these shadows and reflections are pre-baked in and completely simulated. And if we flip, Ginny?
Yep. There we go.
Ah, there we go. So this is with actual, well, no, did you flip
Yep.
it?
So you can see.
Okay, there we go, there we go.
Yeah,
Now
now
it is.
back and forth. So you guys can
Okay,
see.
so this is actually based on physics. So this is real-time ray tracing in VR. So what you're seeing here is you're seeing the reflections. You're
Go from there.
on the side over here. And so as you go back and forth and flip back and forth, you can really see the difference of photorealism once you add real-time ray tracing and physics based in this. Janine, can you flip it to the,
Yep. There's another
This
one.
is the interior. This is, again, based on approximation and baked in. Still looks pretty beautiful. This is all simulated. And there it is with real-time ray tracing. So they're able to really see the fit and finish in this car, but they're also able to change light sources and say, how does this light reflect off the windshield? Is it hitting me in the eyes? Do we need to make an adjustment? You can see over here, this is the reflection from here. Is that a good thing? Is that a bad thing? Bad. So they have to make these determinations. Normally, they would have to have done about 10 clay models per vehicle that they do. We can take that down to 1 or 2. Each clay model is about $1 million. So you can see where the saving comes into play. Go ahead and shift to the next one, Janine.
Hold on, I'm moving through it.
You're moving through it. This is what you would be seeing in VR. So,
Hold on.
do you get it? Can you run it again? So, oh, no, no, no,
Over here. I want to play it again.
Okay. All right, so this is an example of a complete Ford Ranger with every part of the full build as manufacturing data in virtual reality. You can imagine the amount of data that this model contains, and the Silverdraft compute, it was able to run completely smoothly in VR. Now, I remember the first time that I saw this, and I was completely blown away because in VR, I could actually dive in, stick my head into the vehicle, and see the actual serial numbers on every single component. You know, the polygons in this model is completely off the charts. Got it?
Hold on, I'm bringing up the other one. Keep talking, Amy.
I'm going to hide it.
You have to get bigger, Amy.
Sorry. The legs.
Keep talking.
Are you getting through the crash?
No, hang on a second.
Crash. There you go.
It was queued up and then it went.
All right. Oh, so here, okay.
Oh.
So this is the full complete model in automotive, and they can run simulations and analysis on integrity and crash testing. From here, they can also use VR tools where they go in and we design these tools for them to take the car and slice it.
It's going crazy.
It's going crazy.
Just keep rolling. I'll get you.
So we'll design these VR tools, and each automotive company wants a little bit of different VR tools, whether it's a flashlight, whether they can slice the vehicle, whether they can actually tag it, mark it, measure it. We call it skinning. And so in this, go from the other perspective.
You want the other one?
Yep. Yeah, I want the perspective of
The data one?
the perspective of the perspective, same defrost, but yeah.
Oh, that's not the wrong one. Sorry.
She's all over the map.
I'm working on it.
Okay, so this is actually the perspective from the human in the vehicle on the actual data of how long it takes the windshield to defrost. Then we can also, if she goes back to the other one where you see the red, that's the actual being able to visualize the actual analytical data. Thank you, Jean.
And this is the actual data.
That goes out. Being able to run these tests, get this information prior to actually building the vehicle to determine what is needed, what is necessary, what components are actually manufacturable. So they're able to take data from the very start, from the first design of the artist, and then push it all the way through to manufacturing. Same data, continue to build on it, and then use that data even for marketing purposes. So, as we shift from automotive to architecture, engineering, and construction, I always say it's easier to move pixels than dirt, which equals massive ROI. So here is an example of a project that we, I want you to learn. Thank you. Here's an example of a project and case study that we did with the new Hard Rock Hotel in Florida. They needed to be open and running in time for the Super Bowl. They achieved this tight timeline by designing the full project in VR and utilizing the full technology for the build out. This image is your basic Revit CAD rendering. This is actually what you see in VR, and then on the end, that's the actual real life construction. So in VR, they did light studies, so light, doing the ray tracing, to determine how is this glass going to reflect in the pool. So that was doing ray tracing, the real light and shadows based on physics, and they discovered that due to the reflection of the glass into the pool, that the pool was going to be completely unusable. They needed to shift the pool location. Therefore, another massive example of savings. They moved pixels prior to moving dirt. Another example is in the operational training of the facility. Hard Rock was able to train their staff well in advance of before the building was finished. How do they move trash from point A to point B? Where does the cleaning service set their carts? Do they actually even fit in the room? All of this was accomplished before the doors ever opened. Again, saving them time and money. All right, Janine, next one. This one, I get really excited about this one. So this one is amazing. This that you're seeing the content on is called the Barco Canvas. And you are looking at the only one in the US. And it is located here in our Boise office. Barco is a significant partner of ours and part of our full solution for our clients. This content is point cloud data, a full LiDAR scan of 2 miles of the Las Vegas Strip. This scan is full-scale, accurate dimensional data. To achieve this, there needed to be terrestrial and aerial scans, 220 with drone scanning, and 4 helicopter LiDAR passes, well over 1 billion polygons. This data can be used for engineering, construction, forensics, and media and entertainment. The gentlemen that did that LiDAR scan came to us. We can't even see this. It's not even possible. What do we do? And we were able to turn them around quickly and do that for him. It took about a day. So for the feature film in Vegas, data and this Las Vegas data enables the film to save time and money on visual effects. And we can also use it for virtual production, as was done with Star Wars Mandalorian. The entire production was done in a very small warehouse. We are replacing green screen with LED walls and camera tracking. So this entire thing behind, up above, are all LED walls. It's used for the, yes.
So was that you guys that worked on that film?
So we work on the workflow with Rob Legato and some of our team, but I can't say much for the enablers.
Okay, awesome. That's cool. I didn't know that.
But
Can you say something that you've worked on Mandalorian?
Back in tech. So it's still going. So we eventually. But right here, this piece is real. The stage is real. Nothing else is, including the top of the ship. It is a game changer in media and entertainment. The other piece was The Lion King, that was completely a full, complete virtual production. Even to the point where they used VR tools and created those tools virtually. How does this script do these certain things? Created it in the same way in virtual reality, so you could have the same incredible artists from a lighting standpoint, from a camera standpoint, but put them in a virtual environment. And then this summer, we enabled Madonna to dance with AR versions of herself during the live broadcast for the Billboard Awards.
Hang on, I'm gonna get, this one's moving slow in the PowerPoint, so I'm gonna actually pull up the,
Okay.
but my mouse is not mousing.
Not dancing. This project actually won a Luminaire Award. Can you move your so you can, no, we don't need sound. If you move your mouse, that'll go right now. So, we talk about risks. And I had mentioned before this 2-week time frame, same with Elizabeth Barron, 2-week time frame with Madonna. They came to us with this project, and I really had to think about it because there's a lot of risk going into this. Our team can only control so much. There has to be the scans of Madonna performing in each of herself in each of those costumes. But we cannot, control Madonna. Absolutely not. We can't control any of the other dancers. I mean, this is a live broadcast. Anything can happen, and you have to, regardless if it's our fault or not, we know exactly who would get blamed in that scenario. But you have to take those moments and say, this is what we do. Our clients come to us with these things that seem completely impossible. And we have to evaluate that and say, okay, are they willing to innovate with us? Not us telling them, this is what you're going to do. But let's sit around a table. Let's whiteboard out what it is you're wanting to accomplish. And then let's together figure out how in the world we are going to accomplish that. You could not if you were there, you would not see those AR elements. You only saw that during the broadcast. Quite a few years ago, a long time ago, after Michael Jackson had passed away, we did one for the Grammys where Michael Jackson came back to life. That was, you were at the Grammys, you saw Michael Jackson. Very different than what we did here with Madonna. And shockingly, the Michael Jackson one is a lot easier to control than this certainly was. So, when I look at all of, you're good.
Sorry.
When I look at all of this innovation that we are enabling our clients with, it honestly ties to one thing. What is possible when we visualize data, learn from it, and create with it? Honestly, the possibilities truly are endless. So thank you, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you guys might have. I'm sorry about the technical difficulties when we're a tech company.
I had everything all queued up, and then I don't know what happened.
It just went to wonk.
Just went wonky.
Went to wonky. So, yes.
So you self-admitted that technical part of the world isn't your thing, but how did you attract and create this collaboration of creative people?
Well, I came from the other side of the camera. So initially, I was an actor. And I was an actor at a point where film was still on set, a very collaborative effort. And my first film was a John Hughes movie, which when it comes to collaboration and what everybody's doing, and the pieces and parts, and I mean, it was incredible. And I was like, oh my gosh, to see all of these people come together in this way. Everybody has a role and a purpose. There wasn't hierarchy. they had a role and a purpose, and they all came together to make this incredible content. And I was fascinated here. I mean, I'm an actor, small role, and it didn't matter. I had questions. It allowed me to stay on set and learn what every single other person was doing. And I don't know why, but I wrote that out in this little binder book and was like, this is fascinating to me. And I was always techie. I mean, I was the one with, instead of a day planner, I had the Wizard, and then I had the first Palm Pilot, and I take everything apart, and I probably should have gone and been an engineer, but I was just fascinated by that. But as more and more technology was coming into play, that was hindering what we were all doing. And so I just kept writing in this book about workflow in film, what worked, what didn't work, how this piece of technology was hindering over here. And then I became a producer. And I'm like, my gosh, we're reinventing this workflow every time we do production. There's nothing about this that makes any sense. And my pastime was reading about supercomputing and all of this technology. I found it just so fascinating. But I also was like, we're in the media and entertainment industry. Why aren't we using this technology? I mean, data is being pushed and pulled bi-directionally, massive amounts of data, and especially in the world of supercomputing. And here we're lucky if we could, show a little bit of content on our website for NBC. And so, there was this need of understanding where I was looking at things from this perspective of what's happening in the Silicon Valley and what's not happening in Hollywood. And there has to be a way to bring these things together. So I had concepts and ideas, and I talked to a lot of different people, and I was told I was crazy. And I reached out to, one of the IT guys was like, that's impossible. There's no way that can be done. And I'm like, oh, opportunity. And he said, no one in the world can do that except for Dr. Srinidhi Varadarajan. I go, how do you spell that? And I looked him up, and I was like, holy cow, this guy is unbelievable. He built the world's third fastest supercomputer in 2003 at Virginia Tech University with off-the-shelf Apple hardware. And he built it for about $5.3 or $5.6 million. The fastest was 250 something million. And I'm like, Hollywood, 5.3, we need a supercomputer. So I called him and was like, this is what's happening in media and entertainment. These are the issues. What do we need to solve this. What do you think? Because if he laughed at me and I believe him. But he didn't. He got on a plane and he came to Boise, Idaho to come meet with me. I had moved here with my husband at that point and was doing remote between LA and Boise. So I came out here and we sat down and talked and decided, you know what? He goes, it's so simple. It's so simple, it's brilliant. And so we came together with two different perspectives and said, how can we bridge this? And from there, I mean, Srinidhi had been on the cover of Wired magazine like 5 times. I mean, he's really, really incredible man. He's the only one that's gotten one of the first serial numbers off from Steve Jobs off the line on a laptop, because when he went to meet with Steve Jobs to convince him to use some Apple hardware at Virginia Tech, he came with a really beat up not Apple computer, and so he left there with an Apple computer. And he started Aperture, which he sold to Dell, and then he also has Cloudistics. And so he was instrumental in helping, especially initially, to get our first base talent and our CTO. Srinidhi has other companies and couldn't be our CTO. but instrumental in our IP and our compute architecture. He's software and hardware, and it's about combining those two together, designing compute based on applications versus just components. And then it was one of those things, even Janine, she was, I didn't steal her from Micron. She asked to come. Micron's a good partner, and I love Micron, but 30 years at Micron, Elizabeth Barron asked to join the company, and that's really what's happened. We have Hardy Tankersley. He was at Fox for a number of years. He was up for the first Emmy in VR for Sleepy Hollow. He came over from an advisory board standpoint. I have the CTO of NBC Universal. I have John Perry, who did from Nissan, who embraced us very early on and believed in what we were doing. And now they're one of our largest clients. He has just recently, a couple months now, retired and come over to our advisory board. I have Richard Edlund, who created, we call him the godfather of visual effects. He created the visual effects for the original Star Wars. So we work in this collaborative way, and once we're working and we're doing these neat things for different clients, really wonderful talent, we've been fortunate, has come to us, or been recommended, or asked if I am willing to meet with somebody. I personally, as the CEO, when I look at talent, I look at the individual and what they're going to bring to the team. And I know you have to focus on skills, but really, I was an actor and producer, and so our approach to collaboration and team is the willingness to everybody need to be accountable for their part, and so working to get people that are willing to take ownership and take a chance and put something on the table and say, you know what about this? Well, let's give it a try. Blow it up. If it blows up, we've pushed it too far. If it doesn't, we're making it work. And we've had challenges. We got asked by ILM to come in for a big VR experience, and this was at LACMA and the different museums around the world, and it was about the border crossing. It actually won an Academy Award, but it was a lot. Your wind is coming at you. People would be in the headset moving through the space where you're walking through sand and noise, and when they came to us and came to the compute needs, we're like, you're showing us this. We actually think our basic VR system that we're using in automotive is the solution. They're like, oh, these are the specs. This is what it needs to be. And we're like, yeah, no, but. And so really, having to work with an engineering team that, knows their stuff. They don't not know their stuff. We just look at it from a different perspective. And so brought it in, took it to, because there was actual set in Los Angeles they were practicing on, but up north they're like, oh, there's no way, and they're saying, no, it's really working. And up north they're going, there's no way, because that's not what we spec. And send it up to, so then we had to send it up north. They took it apart. There's no way. Down there, in LA, they're still using they have both. They've got the ones that ILM has built for this specific thing with these specific specs. They have ours, and they're like, wait a minute. And, at a certain point, you have to say, okay, you've paid us this much for development. And we have said at this point, you don't have to pay us anything for development. This system is already done. I'm not going to make them pay for something that's, unnecessary. And so there's this one engineer. There's just no way. Not listening to and believing, the artist is, again, there's this thing between artistry and engineering, and to us, they're one and the same. and took it to CAN, not our system. I said, listen, great, you guys, if that's where we're at, because at this point we weren't gonna, you have to determine when do you stop. So we stopped. I'm like, okay, we need the compute back. If you guys get into a bind and there's a challenge, we're here for you. We're here for you. Oh my gosh, they took it to the Cannes Film Festival. Thing blew up, caught on fire. Get a call, yeah, get a call, and then built out and changed all of the compute for that. Except I had told them, we'll be here for you, but when you do, you're going to have to pay us for development and R&D things. I mean, I think we shifted one thing in the compute, but yeah. Yep.
You work with a lot of media and entertainment companies. Is your business impacted by the shift from traditional channels to streaming and more internet and mobile based?
Actually, no. I could see eventually, but we're moving with that because we can be, our architecture can be cloud based. When we had a big supercomputer in a mobile semi truck that we had at NAB, and we were doing cloud rendering for NBC and a couple other clients as we're at the show, showing off our wares. So we can set up scenarios where they can do what's called burst rendering. So we work with all of the media and entertainment industries. We also work with broadcast, sports. So Super Bowl, all the graphics that came up off of the field, that was enabled with our compute and technology, or the Weather Channel and the stuff AR stuff is swirling around them. So live broadcast, big live. It's okay. Big live broadcast of event sort of things as well. Theme parks, so Disney Parks and Resort is a big area for us, both on the research side. So they've shared this now. At the time it was very secret, but when you're in line at Disney, we had to design a system that enabled them to view people in line while you're waiting in line at Disney to determine are they happy or are they not happy. Kind of scary, right? And then if everybody's not happy, they change things within that installation, or they actually send people over there to make them happy, because everybody's supposed to be happy. To big the new shift with ride experiences, that more is a virtual environment, so you're not actually moving, but everything around you is moving. And then automotive is a big area for us as well, and then architecture, engineering, and construction.
Just a quick comment. I was really struck by your marketing on your website. That was unlike really anything I'd seen. It was really cool. Who does that?
Thank you. So I initially came up with all of our marketing when coming from media and entertainment. It's what will grab and what will my potential competitors, Dell and HP are competitors to us. I don't really look at it that way because our approach is very different and we do very different things, and we do full solution, but we build very high performing compute. And so I wanted to do something that HP, Dell, or Apple wouldn't dream of. I wanted the cleanness of Apple, but with edge. But they couldn't be scary. And our first, my very first sales was actually to a religious channel. So we haven't had any issues around that or anything, but we have fun with it. We play off of it. You gotta be careful because you can't go too far because it can get a little kitschy, but you gotta do that balance.
Maybe so the this whole idea of the movie industry, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like one of the big things, I love cinematography in movies.
Yeah.
Alfred Hitchcock, I thought, was one of the most amazing, because he let the people's mind, and you didn't have to do the core, you know?
Mm-hmm.
He said one time, I denied that I said that actors and actresses are cattle. I said they need to be treated like cattle. And this deal was like you were doing, this was like, he challenged all of them, like Jimmy Stewart, when he's doing his deal, one shot, make it your best, be prepared, come in.
Yeah.
Now you're bringing a whole different element to this whole thing, and you see all the stuff from Pixar, all the stuff from Lucas, all the films and stuff. Who do you think the leaders are going to be, and what's the technology? And then seeing that, the next one is that what do you see the next evolution of some of these technology as you see this convergence of high-speed computers and all of the things you're bringing to the table?
Yeah, some of it is very exciting. Some of it, honestly, is a little scary. So I would say the leader in the space, and I am so fortunate because when I launched the company, I launched it doing virtual production. So it was way before there was any thought that they were going to be doing virtual production. But you had to come in with a supercomputer, stick a stake in the sand and say, because they weren't using supercomputing. I do not recommend this for any business. You don't, just build it and hope they will come, but are stick a stake in the sand that's so far ahead of the curve that you have to survive a long time before they catch up. But we did that. Remember, young, naive, yeah. So, stuck in the sand with regards to supercomputing and introduced supercomputing. And I used the group from Avatar, so the guys at Avatar, and said, got this supercomputer, I've got it in this parking lot in Los Angeles, we're gonna do virtual production, we're gonna take out of the supercomputer, we're gonna connect it directly to the camera on set. We had a green screen, we didn't use LED bulbs, green screen, and we're gonna take all of the CG elements and push them out. So the cinematographer in his camera could see the visual effects. He looks up, he sees a green screen and he sees a parking lot. He looks in his camera and he sees everything. He sees the helicopter coming in. Another area we had what is called motion capture, where we had another guy in a motion capture suit. He's this robot. On the other side, we have the set with the green screen with a car and an actress who's acting with the robot. We've got the screen that she's acting with. This is rudimentary virtual production, but she's looking at him and she's acting with her robot. I mean, the performance is so much better. And the performance of the cinematographer, because he's like, wait, you know what, it'd be way better if the helicopter came on the right from the left. And so that group, they were a young group of guys, but they were blown away. And there's inspiration there when you're suddenly able to do things you're not used to being able to do. And now, years later, that same group of guys are like Rob Legato, who did The Lion King, and Jon Favreau. And so when I look at who will be the next, or who's taking it, Jon Favreau's taking it like you can. I mean, there's going to be no stopping there. And if you have a chance to look him up and listen to what he did with regards to The Lion King and his willingness, and Jungle Book was prior to that. What was the other one? There's been about 4 different versions of virtual production, and he continues to scale upon it. So, we're working with Ben Grossman, Rob Legato, and others to what is this ultimate workflow. I mean, Silverdraft, we're just the enablers. We're the ones behind the scene that build the tech and say, okay, make your magic. But Jon Favreau, I would say, is the current magic maker. I think that from a virtual production standpoint, the fact, and you take what we did so you saw the Vegas, you got to think about that. That is a complete, accurate dimensional data of Las Vegas. So here's the width of this. They go and scan it. They didn't have to create any of that. We had to obviously, put it all together to be able to process it and get it into a virtual environment. But Who owns that data? Vegas? Because now that you have that data can be used for the engineering of the construction of the roads. It can be used for what we're going to take down this building. The skyline would be this. We need to tear things up here. Oh, we're going to do construction, and unlike something, sometimes here we've got a road in construction here, a road in construction, and we're stuck. You can create all of that. You could also put AR elements on top of that. So it starts really changing the landscape of what can be done with this, and it's very different than the Google, Earth stuff. This is actual dimensional data, and so you start scanning all of these cities and location, and from a virtual production standpoint, I no longer have to do a film and go to scout the location 10 times. I can have a scan. I can determine, okay, the angles and shots I want, and then I can actually create all of those angle shots in a very small warehouse, because those images move with the camera. So you can create all of that. I mean, it's kind of crazy. So you take this media and entertainment element, but it goes for all of these other things and vice versa. I mean, LiDAR scanning was not initially done obviously for media and entertainment. We're talking, government stuff. But, I feel really bad sometimes when I'm showing this cloud point data, because there's the one that you saw was actually, you put 3D glasses on and then you immersed it in a 3D environment. So you saw it was kind of blurry, but it doesn't have to be blurred like that. There's another demo that I do. I can't show it here, but you go in and it's completely clear, and you could zoom in from a forensic standpoint to, there's this little thing on the ground that you could see. And so there's a guy I always zoom into who's washing his car at the dead end road in Los Angeles, and I'm like, this guy's not up to any good, right? He's completely taken apart everything out of the car. He's scrubbed this car down, and I'm like, feel a little bad, but so when it comes to virtual and visualization, it goes across all of the different verticals, and we don't look at verticals. We don't look at, okay, it's media and entertainment, it's automotive, it's architecture, engineering, and construction, it's government, it's oil and gas, it's medical or finance. We look at, how do you visualize data? Because if you can visualize data, it opens up all different possibilities of what you could do with that data. Cross-reference. So, any other questions? I could talk.
So, this is Jason from Idaho National Lab.
Hi.
Yes, I have a question.
Yes.
Hi. Hey, about funding. Do you ever have funding challenges, and how did you get this launched? It seems like you didn't have too much trouble along the way. And another question I have, since you've kind of moved to Boise, how has that impacted your ability to run your business and get your clientele?
Oh my gosh, the great questions. Funding has been a huge challenge for me from day one. I mean, come on. Right? It seems completely insane and completely impossible, and trying to convince people that this was a really smart idea was not the easiest and not my area. I can pitch a teaser reel for a major feature film and get like stupid amounts of money, but with this business, extremely challenging. We literally had to put that stake in the sand and just prove it over and over and over again. Get on a plane with a computer and go to Germany and get in front of Audi with a bake-off against HP and Dell and have to sit there and watch as they bring, because they do it. There's all these parameters. You're in the room. HP and Dell didn't show up, but I did. I'm in the room, and they, 20 of them, and they're talking in stamp failure, and congratulations. But it was about proving, and then I just self-funded. I've been super scrappy. I've worn a gazillion different hats, and you just make it happen. Some way, somehow, one little piece at a time. So from a funding standpoint, I've had a few really wonderful angel investors and myself. And then, now actually we are in the middle of a new race to be able to scale and meet the demand, because we just, we have to be able to meet greater demand and go deeper within the organizations of the companies that we are with. So and we'll see how it goes this time around. We've got obviously a lot more than what we initially started with. And then as far as Idaho goes, it's really shifted, I would say, in the last 2 years. We have the office in Los Angeles on the studio lot, and that is the original Charlie Chaplin studio soundstage. It's the first Hollywood studio, and so it's a very small, amazing lot. It's now Jim Henson Studios, and most people don't. It's a closed lot, so you can't get on this lot. So it's a place people want to go. They want to see it. They want to go there. Even if you're in LA, they want to go there. And so everyone would want to go to LA. Now everyone wants to come to Idaho. We've had Gulfstream here. Obviously, Barco comes from Belgium, a huge, partner with ours. I mean, the fact that they house their technology that they only have in the U.S. here in Boise in our office it's insane. And that same thing that we're doing with projection, that Barco canvas, we also do with LED, with big LED walls. And then, and they're setting things up in LA as well. But here's where people are now wanting to come. They want to come to the lab where we're doing our R&D. And so people are coming here. And from a client, getting talent, they get very excited about Boise. So that is shifting, this willingness. And then, we're starting to do more with regards to Boise State and getting interns and communicating about this is what we need from a talent base. Oh my gosh, please, Python and artists together. Amazing. So.
Jason, any other questions or anybody else on the phone?
No, thank you. From the University of Idaho. Thank you for your presentation. It was great.
Oh, you're very welcome. Absolutely. Anything else? Were they able to see? Okay, good.
Oh yeah.
Okay, good.
Which is always a good thing.
It's a good thing. Oh, geez.
You're kind of a visual
Yeah.
person as well. With
Well, and with the coronavirus stuff, I mean, it's this moving target right now that is a little insane. But just yesterday alone, so many of our clients need to be able to get immersed and collaborate. So they go into a virtual environment and then they collaborate in different locations from all over the world. And they work together in that virtual environment as if like we are here. So instead of you guys being on the phone and getting a video of this, you would be immersed in this, in the environment with us. And, the need for the tools and the equipment to be able to do that is, there's a bit of urgency around that. But component issues because of, so it's this catch-22.
It seems like you've got the back end, but what I'm wondering about is virtual, there's the pipe in the middle. Do you guys run into any challenges with that?
So, no, because the data, you're not sending, when you're in the virtual environment working together, you're not sending that data.
Oh.
So you have your system in your location, and each person does in that spot, and so you're only processing your piece of it. Yeah.
Amy, I'm sorry I missed the first part of this. Did everybody know about where you're from, all this type of stuff?
I was born and raised in Boise, Idaho. I left when I was 16 or 17, and actually had a career in modeling, where I lived all over the world for that. I really truthfully believe that that's what has helped me in business, because you're having to run yourself as a business. And I lived in New York for a very long time, and then Los Angeles, and then I moved back home to Boise. So my husband's an orthopedic surgeon, Swartz Med. He was the team doctor for Boise State for some time. He recently opened up his own private practice downtown. So I'm always pinging him with regards to, virtualization and medical. And we did this really cool thing where you can do surgery in VR, and then the computer's assessing how is the surgeon doing.
Last question for you. So you kind of talked about this, but now several companies have grown or here, and they've been encouraged to move out of the Boise area or the Idaho area simply because of the talent and funding. They wanted you to be closer to maybe some of these areas.
Yes.
What are your thoughts about that now that you've come back and you know all of these other areas you've been in and growing a company here? What are your thoughts about staying and being?
That was a big challenge early on too, from a funding standpoint, a willingness from other states to really incentivize us to go elsewhere. Oregon, as all of that, really, especially because we build in the computers here in Boise. And so this need of doing that elsewhere was a big push, and tempting, honestly. It was really tempting. Here I am, I'm working really hard to get funding for this company. I'm having to self-fund it. I certainly had challenges being, an Idaho-based company. I think if I had been in Oregon and was trying to come here, it may have been a little bit easier, but it's worth staying here. The quality of life is really, really good, and there's talent here. It's just hidden. It really is. Like, you guys probably didn't even know we existed. And I see the same talent on planes when I'm going to San Francisco and Los Angeles, and coming together to do interesting and exciting things. And if you can't find talent here, then work with students to help train them, and then talent will come. But then utilize that talent to help train other talent locally, so we can start, building more and more here in the Boise community. Yeah.
I was going to ask, since we have Rich Stuppy here with Count, would you have anything to add to that, Rich?
It has gotten a lot easier. Just from our perspective, Counts, and my perspective, only a lot easier. As our brand's grown, the headlines about fast growing, great place to live, people have heard it. 14 years ago when we started, I used to give wisecracks about, Boise has the internet? Not a real momentum builder when you're trying to build a global SaaS company. As far as talent goes, I don't know if there'll ever be enough talent, but way easier, and we attract. I think sometimes we're now at the point where we're actually attracting people because of where we're at in terms of customers, where they're maybe a little more interested in the doing rather than the saying, and having a partner that doesn't maybe act like they're the smartest person on the planet constantly because they have a headquarters in downtown San Francisco, or San Jose, or wherever you want. So, in general, positive momentum.
I think that's a really good point. There's this thing about technology being here is refreshing, and these larger companies want to work with companies that don't have these big egos, that are refreshing, and a lot of them really like to work with small companies. Airbus actually picks and chooses small tech companies to work with and help scale and elevate, and there's an attractiveness to being in this location for that reason. And like you're saying, it used to be like Boise, Iowa, Idaho, and there we go. I mean, it was just great. And now it's like, oh my gosh, that is so amazing. Really? Oh, can I come up there and see, visit you there instead of you coming to us? And, so that's done a complete 360.
There's no question. I think when the livability had Boise as the city last year, one thing they talked about in that was the vibe, the tech vibe that was in. And in livability, we had probably 12 to 13 cities in Idaho on the livability list because of how good it is. And I think a lot of it has to be with where our universities are. But I mean, like INL has some certain things that are after. Some really amazing things taking place in Eastern Idaho. We were up in North Idaho, and Empire Airlines talked about Airbus.
Yeah.
There was a company that does work with a joint venture with Airbus that takes care of a whole bunch of planes. Empire Airlines up there. So there are so many amazing things that are taking place.
It's an exciting time.
Yeah.
And I think it's really important that the companies in Idaho tech companies do come together and elevate and support each other in the technologies that we all have, because we can be greater and greater awareness to that.
That is awesome. We have to come together. Let's hear from Amy. Let's see, is there anybody that has any thoughts or anything that is happening regarding getting Tech2Market or anything like that? So, anybody having any thoughts there? Jason, I know you're on the line. I know Jeremy, you're on. Anybody else that have anything that they'd like to bring up?
Well, for the next couple months, if there ends up being a moratorium on two people meeting together, can you keep doing this in a virtual way?
Sure. We'll do it still. Right now we have Zoom, and we have a lot of different folks on Zoom, like right now. So you can join like your Jeremy or Jason, or you can do that. So.
And lots of content. We're pushing out content almost every day. So keep checking in with us. We're not going anywhere. Just keep pressing on.
This it has been crazy because all of the things you think about that, like we're probably gonna have to cancel or at least not cancel, move our Capital Connect, and we had a whole bunch of capital providers that were going to come, and we were going to have Amy and a lot of other companies throughout the state present. There are going to be 50 companies that were trying to get to the A round of funding. So there's a lot of things that were going on that we're going to move, but you've seen that happen. I mean, how can you impact the NCAA tournament? You can impact the NBA. It's phenomenal. So, but thank you for that question. So, any other points of anything going on with respect to getting Tech2Market? We'll have a couple other presentations as we go along where we'll ask some of the folks that are working on this commercialization. There are new VPRs at all the universities. We have INL, but you remember 66% of commercialization usually takes place on the private sector side, like Silverdraft. So they're great things. There's a data center legislation that will now, I think, be moving to the governor's office for signing to make it so we get it goes from 250 million investments. So it's really for the big people like Google, Amazon, big companies to be able to have data centers here. So keep an eye on that, because data centers would be hopeful all throughout the state, Eastern Idaho and Northern Idaho, and around this area. So all of them have been identified, which will help us hopefully with a lot more infrastructure. So that's probably, and the last point is that we're working hard on computing literacy, which is going to be a big part of what we're doing. So with the state board, and getting computer science required towards high school graduation will be something we'll be working on in the next 3 months really hard. So that's pretty much it.
Okay, thanks. I appreciate it.
Thanks, you guys. Have a good day. Thank you. Have grandmas in there.